Hi guys, Crystal Travis here. Thanks for watching, listening, and reading. Let's get to it. Hey everybody, just want to come and say hi today and check in, see how you're all doing under the quarantine or the safe sheltering at home or whatever they're calling it today. Also, I have wrote a blog post called 414 for such a time as this, and I just wanted to share a couple of thoughts and verses with it that maybe can give you guys a little bit of hope and encouragement right now for some of our uncertain days. So if you see me glancing that way, just looking at my computer for some notes so I can stay on track. But maybe some of you know 4:14 is from the book of Esther, and it says, "For if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise from the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have come into the kingdom for such a time as this." And we in America in the last 10-12 days have come, our days are changing every day of what we're allowed to do and businesses that are open and an uncertain future. And I know much of the world is way ahead of us, some months ahead of us in their uncertainty and what their lives have become. And we're facing an unknown enemy. If we were facing aliens or zombies, we could band together and know how to fight it. But we're facing an enemy that we can't see. And some people think that because we can't see it, that we should fear the things we can see, like loss of jobs and loss of relationships, loss of church, family, weddings, freedoms. So there's a lot of uncertainty right now around all of that and fear around all of that. But as Christians, I believe that, we can be a light of hope and joy and peace in a time of uncertainty, because that's what He's called us to in our journey. That even though we don't know the future, we know Him and He knows our future. And so we can still have peace, love, joy, hope in the midst of uncertainty. And we can still do what he tells us to do, to love the Lord our God with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our mind. That this is the great and first commandment. But there's a second one like it. We should love our neighbor as ourselves. He tells us that in Matthew 22:37 through 39. So right now, we as Christians are honoring and loving our neighbor as ourselves by sheltering at home and also checking on them and calling each other and calling to make sure our neighbors are taken care of. So we know that doesn't change during a time like this, that those are still our greatest commandments of how we're supposed to live. So we have joined Pedro Ado's doing a challenge, and it's called 414 for such a time as this challenge. So he encouraged us to read the book of Esther and read it again in light of what is going on in our world right now. And I've always loved the book of Esther. It's always been one of my favorite books as a girl. And of course, you want to be Esther and be beautiful and stand up and be used mightily for God. And but as life went on, sometimes we get taken over by fears. I know I did, and our voice becomes quieter and quieter, and we become a little more drawn in. So I know as I reread Esther the other day that God pointed out to me multiple times that he had Esther prepare. And so I was just going to share a couple of those with you, because I know he's been preparing in my heart for the last few years through a lot of challenges, through wonderful mentors, but to just prepare our heart for what he has in store. So just a couple of the places that she prepared was in chapter 2 and verse 12. And she had a period of 12 months of beautification processes before she was called to the king and presented to him. So she went through a physical preparation, and then where the famous verse comes in, for such a time as this, when Mordecai told her the plot against their people, she asked him to ask all the Jews and to fast and pray with her for 3 days before she went into the king unbidden, because that was risking her life also. So she had a spiritual time of preparation, and that happens in chapter 4, verses 14 through 17. And then once she goes into the king and makes her requests known, she invites him to come to her house, and she invites him twice, not just once. And so she has a time of preparing the king's heart for the message that she wanted to share with him for her people. And so that happens in chapter 5, verse 8, and chapter 7, verses 3 through 6. So she had a preparation for the right timing. And then next, after they were allowed to make a new decree where they could defend themselves, they had months to prepare to fight the battle that was coming to them. So, of course, during those months, they had, I'm sure, spiritual and much physical preparation that was done during that time. So I just want to encourage you and let you know that it's okay to have a time of preparation, and it's wise and it's smart, and God does mighty things in those time of preparation. So trust him in the preparation, and trust that he will show you when is the time to use it for, and it may be for such a time as this. So take care, y'all. Stay well and stay safe. Stay loving each other and sharing wonderful joys with each other. And we'll check in soon. Bye.